So if you want an actual Stephen Curry build that is true to his real-life playstyle, this is the build for you. I'm not talking about that left-right nonsense and that fading 3 nonsense that has been dominating NBA 2K26 lately. In this video, I'm going to give you a Steph Curry build that will do his real-life game justice and go beyond the meta playstyle for NBA 2K26. This is an elite shooter with some insane finishing ability, some excellent playmaking chops, and the ability to hold his own on defense. You know, that is as much as you can as a small guard in the game. So I'll give you the build details, some alternatives depending on your build specialization and where you could put your cap breakers in order to create a dominant Steph Curry build in NBA 2K26. And this build is based on Steph Curry's legendary 2022 season, the season that arguably puts Steph Curry up in the top 10 of all time list. Forget everything else, this build will allow you to shoot through contested jumpers like actual Stephen Curry. What stood out to me in that legendary 2022 season and even 2021 and the 2023 season was Steph Curry was just a little bit better in terms of scoring against anybody on the ball. The ability to ISO, cross your defender up regardless of their length and physical ability, and finish at the basket with his improved strength, and still keeping that insane touch from previous years, made Steph just a different level of beast to handle with. He also had that playmaking chops which was supremely underrated, and the strength to deal with a lot of longer, stronger, and quicker defenders that also aided him on the defensive end of the floor, where I believe Steph is pretty good, it's just that there's no helping 6'2". And with Steph recognizing the importance of strength, this was actually a season where he put up anywhere between 50 to 20 pounds, nearing 200 pounds for this 2022 season, allowing us to make some liberties in terms of his physicality. Now, on the deep ball, you know what a Steph Curry build should be able to do: quick catch and shoots, shoot through contested jumpers as you can see right here, and in a game as easy to shoot as 2K26, this will allow us to make some incredible nonsense in the game while still playing accurately as Steph Curry, and as usual, you wouldn't be Steph Curry if you weren't able to shoot the 3 off the bounce, which this build can absolutely do. And in the second part of this video, which I expect to drop tomorrow, I will give you a tutorial for a lot of these Steph Curry type mid-range shot creation moves. In that video, I'll give you a complete breakdown of the best animations for small guards. And if you watched my previous Steph Curry videos back from 2K24 when he got a lot of new pro play animations, you know that the chef special is one of my signature moves that a lot more people have caught on. But there's only one true chef, and I'm excited to show you some new wrinkles that I added to the chef crew shot creation system. But as you can see, I'm breaking down a lot of my defenders who try to prevent me from shooting from 3, take advantage of the mid-range and our high shooting badges in order to dominate the game at all 3 levels. While the 3-point shot will make the headlines, our ability to break our defender down and shoot all of these sorts of crazy contested shots from the mid-range is what's really going to separate you from a lot of the usual 2K players who are on small guards right now, who are basically left-righting behind screens and fading from 3. Now, no judgment on that playstyle, it's just not for me. So if you want to stick to a more realistic playstyle, this build is for you, but also it can do that left-right meta if you decided that that's how you wanted to play. So we got a build that's dominant from 3, that's dominant from the mid-range even against a lot of help defenses and tall defenders, but this build is also elite from finishing, which Steph Curry has historically been. Since you'll get a lot of players really selling out on your 3-point ability, and once you've proven that you were able to shoot from the mid-range, that's where your contested layups and your floaters come in. And if you've seen previous videos of mine, you know how overpowered floaters are in 2K26. But also my ability to finish in traffic and finish through contact is something that's gonna come in handy, especially for a small guard. So with your elite ability to shoot from 3, hit contested shots with your creative hop jumpers in the mid-range, and now an ability to become an elite finisher, it just sets up everything else from your game and will allow you to set up a lot of your elite playmaking. Now let's focus on dribbling first. I have the complete breakdown of the build later on, but we're targeting 92 ball handle with the Steph Curry build, especially because we want to get a lot of Steph Curry's dribble animations. You'll have the ability to break your defenders down with some of the best dribble animations in the game, And if you are a Steph Curry fan, the threat of the three ball at any point, in combination with his insane handle, just really puts defenders off balance, giving you different opportunities to score, really allowing you to pick and choose which angle you want to take as long as you break your defender down with the right dribble moves. As you can see right here, these are not escape spam combos, which are some of the easiest ways to break your defenders down in 2K26. We try to keep it to some realistic combos, some ethical combos, but I'll also give you a tutorial on how to leverage some of the most powerful dribble animations in the game, which will allow you to strengthen your shot creation and your ability to get to the basket at will. And trust me, man, as soon as you're able to bend that defense with your ability to get any shot that you want, now your playmaking as a passer becomes that more important, because as you see here, defenses will sell out on you every single time. I see so many double teams, triple teams pinching off of the weak side just to try to put me in some uncomfortable positions and really force me to give up the ball, which I'm more than happy to do that since this is a point guard after all. And Steph is such an underrated passer, but we're gonna make that an important part of his game through this build. Alright, so talking about strength, we're gonna have a high strength build that will allow us to finish through contact and really attack defenders who want to stay close to us, thinking that we cannot deal with that physicality. A lot of people underrate strength in 2K26, but that is as essential as it gets, which also helps us on defense. Now, as a small guard, you will naturally be at a disadvantage, but as you can see right here, you're going to use your quickness, your strength, your agility in order to stifle a lot of these bigger guards. Strength for strength, I'm fine with big guards as long as I can keep up with them laterally. Where this build will sort of struggle is once people are spamming those escape dribbles and you're able to slide off contact. It becomes a little bit more challenging because then it will be hard to get those last second contests on a lot of taller defenders. But don't worry, this is 2022 Steph, so we had to make sure he had that championship defense equipped. Except that you have to expect that as a small guard, you will naturally be at a disadvantage against taller guards. Alright, with that said, let's break down the entire build, giving you alternatives and what I aimed for. So, we're creating an accurate Steph Curry build in terms of physicals for the most part. So otherwise, I just make a 6'4 or a 6'5 point guard, to be honest with you. We're making him 6'2 because Steph Curry is listed at 6'2. Alright, where we're going to take a few liberties is that, in my opinion, small guards in 2K26 massively at a disadvantage. So there are some things that we're going to need to be able to do in order to compete with what is going to be a lot of tall point guard builds. Honestly, a matchup problem for small guard, anytime you have a height disadvantage of at least 3 inches, it's going to be difficult on both offense and defense. Unless you're one of those fading left-right screen hide-and-seek players, then obviously you dominate the game through your offense and not much else. So we're going to discuss a few of my rules for making a small guard in order to make the experience fun for you, but also your teammates. Otherwise, they'd hate playing with these small guards who just shot chuck and ball hog. Okay, so at the core of this build, again, our potential, we get up to a 99 3 ball. At the core of this build is going to be our 3-pointer. It's a Steph Curry build, right? So we're going to put this up to a 94, right? Because we're going to use 5 cap breakers on 3-point shot to bring all of these badges, which are important, to legend, making it an efficient way to pursue a 99 for a particular attribute. All these attributes help amplify what a small guard can do, so that's why we're going to max this out to legend. Alternative 1, if you have shooting specialization basically grinded out, what I do recommend is you lower this down to a 91, and I'll show you a version of the build that lowers this down to a 91 just so that we can use 5 cap breakers to get Hall of Fame Shifty Shooter and Hall of Fame Limitless Range, which gets Hall of Fame at a 96 3 ball. But for now, we're gonna go with a version that gets up to a legend by bringing that up to a 99 with 5 cap breakers, which are honestly very easy to do in 2K26. All right, so that's core number 1 of this build. Core number 2 is that we'll have automatically 84 mid-range in tandem with that 94 3-ball. 84 mid-range is great, and you know I love to use a lot of my mid-range combos, especially when you have legend shooting badges. So on its own, 84, I wouldn't recommend it, but because we'll get legend shooting badges, mid-range at 84 is fine. Next thing we'll do is bring our driving layup up to an 88. We're gonna chase Steph Curry animations for the most part. You get Steph Curry layups at 86. We're chasing 88 to get that gold float game, which in my opinion, since, small guards are at a disadvantage, and I've spoken about this in 2 separate videos. Floaters are essentially the great equalizer for small guards and massively overpowered. Even though I expect float game or floaters to get a nerf in the future, floaters are still going to be good overall. So we have the option to max +2 this to legend, but honestly I think gold or Hall of Fame is pretty fine overall. There's an argument to bring this up to a 90 to get gold physical finisher, but that's a conversation you're going to want to have for yourself depending on what type of shots you really want to use. The other thing about putting driving layup to an 88 is that we can get layup mix master to a gold if we use 5 cap breakers on driving layup, but in my opinion, sticking with a driving layup up of 88 up to a 90 is fine overall. Okay, now I want to discuss the physicals first before we get into the playmaking. For physicals, we are going to max your strength up to an 85. Alright, but we're going to try to optimize this a little bit for a reasonable amount of cap breakers. So I'm making this build with the vision of you having 8 to 10 cap breakers and you basically wanting to enjoy this now and make it more powerful in the future rather than it being serviceable now and then just, gaining steam as we get along through more seasons. So the target for this is 7 to 8 immediate cap breakers. So this will be usable immediately if you have 7 to 8 cap breakers unlocked already. Our strength will be up to an 81. We're going to use 1 cap breaker to bring that up to an 85. All right. Now, next, we're going to put our agility up to an 85. But honestly, if you can go higher, that will be ideal. Agility helps a lot on both offense and defense. Off-ball offense and basically being able to move and change directions really quickly to take advantage of slower defenders who did not necessarily put a lot of attributes towards their physicals. Our speed will tie with our speed with ball. And again, there's a case here that, keep your speed with ball at an 86 and then use 5 cap breakers to get 91. This unlocks both Hall of Fame lightning launch, but also that Steph Curry dribble style. But once again, we're targeting this for around 7 to 8 cap breakers to be usable right now. So this isn't a super optimized cap breaker build that is thinking about season 5 or 6. We're talking about season 1 and entering season 2 to put yourself in a position to take advantage of this build. So what I'm going to do is bring this up to a 90 with the benefit of bringing your speed up to a 90 as well. We're going to use 1 cap breaker to get the Hall of Fame lightning launch and that Steph Curry dribble style, which in my humble opinion is the best dribble style in 2K26. Now, there are more efficient uses of your speed with ball to get a good enough, if not a great enough, dribble style. But in my opinion, for the play style, Steph Curry, the best dribble style, especially if you want to play ethically. All right, now for ball handle. I have an argument in a future video that 90 ball handle is all you'll need as a small guard. In terms of animations, because you will get Kyrie Irving dribble animations, which in my opinion are some of the best in the game. But since we're going to go with Steph Curry animations, we're going to use 2 of our cap breakers to ball handle. All right. So 2 cap breakers to ball handle, 1 to speed with ball, 5 to 3-point. That puts us up to an 8 overall. And then the 9 cap breaker we will use on strength. Just to round out the playmaking, we want to make sure that we're put at the point guard position, even though you're going to get matched up with a lot of small guards. So 85 pass accuracy is what I recommend. Every now and then I get put on the 2, and honestly, you don't want to get put on the 2 guard position if you are a 6'2 guard. This gets us up to a bronze bailout, but more importantly, what this gives us in terms of our playmaking moves is the pass style for SGA. Last year, this was a 97. This year, just an 83. And in my opinion, one of the best pass styles in the game. All right. So now our playmaking is pretty much set up. Our physicals pretty much set up. Our vertical increases as well with our speed with ball. All right, so now we have 3 more attributes to play with. And if you are a small guard, you're gonna need block to contest very well. Get you good block animations combined with your 60 vertical. That will get you enough contests overall. All right, the next question is, do you want to be just a decent defender? In that case, 74, and then relying on your speed, agility, and some of your strength will carry you through. You are a small guard. All right, your superpowers are going to be your speed with ball, your speed, these playmaking animations you get with a 92 ball handle, and the ability to get 99 3 ball. If you are just concerned about offense and then you're just going to stay in the corner on defense, that's fine. But if you're going to be put at the point guard position, you're going to have to compete with a lot of the demon left-right faders. So we're going to have to put the perimeter defense at a baseline of an 85. All right. Once you max out your strength at an 85, you will be able to get your immovable enforcer up to a gold level. And then my recommendation is to max +2 that in order to bring that up to a legend. Will get you good bumps on the perimeter and good contests if you need to challenge your defender at the basket. All right, so now we are at a 98. Make sure that we can bring our free throw up to an 80. And then the argument here is to put your steal up to a 60 and just distribute your attributes accordingly. So this is the version of the build that I recommend for most people with around 8 to 9 cap breakers in mind. Not yet optimized for cap breakers. Again, I want you to be able to use this build now, and I want you to be able to use this build in the future with a lot of the options for cap breakers later on. So if we continue with this build, this will give you shades of Kyle Lowry, Jameer Nelson, and Mike Conley to give you a two-way 3-point sniper. Will allow you to be competitive on the defensive end with that speed and that strength. And with cap breakers, you will be really good everywhere on the court. Again, keeping in mind that you will be a liability on defense if you are matched up with a big guard regardless. Improve this build and make it more efficient. All right, now if you're thinking about 15 to 20 cap breakers, obviously you'll have to redo this build in many different ways. For example, if you have 15 to 20 cap breakers in mind, you're going to bring this down to an 87. You're going to bring this down to an 86. And there's an argument that you bring your driving layup down even further, right? So I'm going to give you an optimized version of this build that takes into account the build specialization as a shooting specialization. And in that case, I recommend bringing down your 3 ball up to a 91. Add 5 cap breakers to get you 96 to get Hall of Fame Shifty Shooter and the Hall of Fame Limitless, and then use your +1s accordingly to the shooting badges that matter the most. I recommend using Pax +2 for your Mini Marksman, because Mini Marksman, you'll most likely get the best defender on the opposite team or be matched up with a tall point guard. I don't want you to be in a position where it's going to be extremely difficult to shoot against tall guards, especially if your Mini Marksman is just at a gold. But we're going to keep it at 91, use 5 cap breakers to bring this up to a 96. I think that's a good middle ground. All right. Again, thinking about our cap breaker situation, I do recommend that you keep that to 90 so you can enjoy this build right now. And what are the options, okay, with the additional attributes that we get from reducing your 3 ball from a 94 down to a 91? One option is to bring this up to an 87. Use 5 cap breakers to bring that up to 92, which will give you gold pick dodger, gold on ball menace, and gold challenger. And then you can max +1 or +2 those badges to make them as high as possible, making you a more than serviceable build on defense as well. Then you have options here. All right, maybe you want to increase your driving dunk to, let's say, 75 to give you a good enough dunk package. All right, so this will unlock Luka Doncic dunk package and Devin Booker dunk package. The other option here is to boost your driving layup up to a 90 by tweaking these different attributes accordingly. So let's see if we can do that. So you'll max out at an 89 driving layup in this case, and then just use a +1 cap breaker moving forward, for example, to get that driving layup up to a 90, which will give you gold physical finisher, which in my opinion is a really great badge. But with that additional attribute point, we can try to bump our steal up to a 65, and with cap breakers bring that up to an 85 overall. So this is another option, all right? If you have a build, for example, that you want to be a little bit more better optimized, if you have shooting specialization, this is a build that I would recommend. You can even bump up your driving dunk up to an 80 if you choose to do so. And if we choose this alternative version of the build, we'll give you Kyle Lowry, Derek Harper, and Mike Conley. Again, a two-way three-point sniper. Now, tweak this build accordingly to how many cap breakers you will get eventually if you choose to do so. I'm choosing to give you a build that with 7 to 8 cap breakers throughout the end of season 1, maybe the beginning of season 2 will be really enjoyable, but the potential for this build to be more optimized, okay, is there if you want to sacrifice some fun now for a better optimized build in the future. So there you go. I've had fun with my Steph Curry build. It's not the easiest when you're going up against a lot of these taller guards that have the advantage over you. Honestly, on defense is where I struggle the most with this build, but offensively, I've been able to do fine, averaging over 20 points on 75-75 shooting splits. It's been really fun to explore the dribbling and the movement as a small guard. I've been extremely happy with my realistic Steph Curry playstyle, and watch out for part 2 of this video where I'm going to give you the dribble 6, the jump shot, and a tutorial for the different small guard combo systems that we're using with this build. So hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I got a few more build ideas coming for season 2. Hope you've enjoyed the content for season 1 so far, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.